I've always been fascinated by the idea of a zombie apocalypse, but I never thought I'd be discussing it in a scientific context. You know, those brain-eating, shuffling undead we see in movies? Well, it turns out that scientists have actually been studying how a zombie outbreak could theoretically happen. And let me tell you, the results are absolutely mind-blowing. Now, you might be wondering, are you serious? Zombies aren't real. And you'd be right. Sort of. But, the idea of a zombie apocalypse taps into very real anxieties about pandemics and the spread of infectious diseases. Scientists have been, looking at real-world phenomena that could mimic zombie-like behavior. Take prion diseases, for example. These are rare, degenerative brain disorders that can cause some pretty freaky symptoms. One such disease, called kuru, can lead to loss of coordination, slurred speech, and even personality changes. It's not exactly turning people into zombies, but it shows how infections can seriously mess with our brains and behavior. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. A group of students at the University of Leicester decided to take this whole zombie apocalypse thing seriously. Scientifically speaking, of course. And the results? Well, they're pretty grim. According to their model, within just 100 days of the initial outbreak, the global population would be reduced to a mere 273 survivors. That's like less than the number of people in my high school graduating class. But don't panic yet. The researchers also factored in human resistance and reproduction. It turns out that even with such a devastating initial impact, humanity could potentially bounce back and repopulate the planet. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is all hypothetical, right? Well, yes and no. While we're not dealing with actual zombies, nature has some pretty weird tricks up its sleeve that might make you think twice. Let's talk about fungi for a second. There's this fungus called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. Try saying that 5 times fast. That infects ants and literally controls their behavior. It's like a real-life zombie ant apocalypse. But here's the really freaky part. Some scientists are worried that, a fungal pathogen could potentially evolve to infect humans and cause similar behavioral changes. I mean, can you imagine? It's not likely, but it's not impossible either. This is the kind of stuff that keeps epidemiologists up at night. It's a reminder that the line between science fiction and reality can sometimes be thinner than we think. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has published a zombie preparedness guide. Now, before you start building your underground bunker, let me explain. It's partly tongue-in-cheek, but it's also a clever way to get people thinking about general emergency preparedness. And you know what? It's working. People are using these zombie scenarios to think critically about how they'd handle real emergencies. It's like a thought experiment that's actually useful. Plus, it's way more fun to plan for zombies than to plan for a hurricane, right? But in all seriousness, these studies and preparations highlight some really important things about human behavior, societal vulnerabilities, and the importance of being ready for the unexpected. So there you have it, the science behind the zombie apocalypse. It's a wild ride from fiction to scientific modeling to real-world phenomena. While we're probably not going to face actual zombies anytime soon, exploring these scenarios can teach us a lot about disease spread, human behavior, and how to prepare for the unexpected. Who knew that our fascination with the undead could lead to such mind-bending scientific insights? Stay curious, stay prepared, and who knows? Maybe you'll be one of those 273 survivors. Just kidding, I hope.